this is actually our drawing board where we are going to be trying. Don't forget that the aim of this is to learn how to conceptualize our idea. Of course, you might be thinking about something big, so this can be a good way to get this done. Instead of waiting for the programmer to help you conceptualize your idea, you can actually all by yourself go ahead to conceptualize your idea. We are using the website called Thunkable, but for now let us look at how to conceptualize our idea. Now, what am the idea now? We want to conceptualize an idea, and the idea is I want to have a central place or bring all the stores together. So the idea I am actually conceptualizing is all in one all in one store is the idea that I'm trying to conceptualize. Now, of course, so what I'm thinking, so the first stage of the application will be the authentication stage. Then after, so this will be the authentication stage, meaning that of course I want to know my user. I want to know my user. I want to know where they're coming from. Of course, I don't need too much details from them, but I just want to be sure I am not relating with a robot. I go ahead from the authentication after the user. From what I've demonstrated, I'm trying to draw the flow of the application now. So after the authentication stage, the user will then be able to see the list of the product. They'll be able to see the list of the product. Don't forget, the products actually goes from different stores, gather the accessories that they have, gather the stores that they have. I get it from them and I put it on my website, and of course, just like acting like a middleman. So I list all products for the user to see in order for them to be able to choose what they want to buy from. And from there, the user can then see, oh, this is available, check the price, check the details, and the like. So from there, after the user have seen the list of products, then we then be able to also see the user will then be able to also see the. So this that I'm doing is I'm trying to draw out or map out my idea. So from there we then go ahead to be building our application. So of course you might get an idea of, oh, this is what you should build. Don't wait till it become full-fledged before you start doing something. Get it on a paper, get a pen and paper, draw it out, map it out based on how best it actually work for you. So from there, after listing of the product, okay, I want them to also be able to see the details of the product, like a short description. I want them to be able to see the image, see it on big screen, and then be able to like market to them for them to buy. So they will be able to see the product details. They'll be able to see the product details, and that is the third flow of my application. And after that, I also want them, it is the flow of our application. After they have seen the details, okay, I will like to buy this, I don't like to buy this, and they like, so they will then also be able to see, they will then be able to place their products. They'll be able to place order, they'll be able to place order, which will be our fourth stage. And after they have been able to place their order, and they will be able to track each step of the order. They'll be able to track the step of the order. They'll be able to track the order. They'll be able to track the order. And that is what we are going to be building in this application. That's just the idea. The idea looks big. The idea looks, oh, get something, sketch it out, and let's see how workable it can be. And from there, okay, I'm going from this stage to this stage, I'm going from this stage to this stage. And from here you can see, okay, once you go from this very first stage, this first stage of authentication. From there you go to the list of products, from there you go to the product details, from there you go to the point where the user can actually place their order, and from there you can also go to the point where the user can track their order. And that is what we are going to be building. Now, before I come back to this drawing board, let's go ahead to Thunkable again. Of course, this is the asset you are going to be using, but for now, let me go to Thunkable, and I am going to be giving a short introduction of what Thunkable is, and that is what I can actually call our tools. The tools we are going to be using. The tools we are going to be using include, we're going to be using Thunkable, just Thunkable, and we are also going to be using Firebase. We're going to be using Firebase. So these are the two tools that we are going to be using. And now when we talk about this Thunkable, this is Thunkable. And if you, I want you now just to follow me as I do this. Now go to thunkable.com. All you just need to do to access Thunkable is just go to thunkable.com. That will actually take you to Thunkable. So this Thunkable, actually you can see their own page. The basic idea or basic point of what Thunkable is that it allows you to build custom application, meaning that it does not constrain you, it does not give you any constraint. That allow you to build custom application without the need to code, You can see great ideas are everywhere, join millions of creators bringing their ideas to life. So that means that without the need to know how to code, paraphrasing now, you can bring your idea to life using Thunkable. And the theme they also give it is, if you can think it, you can thunk it. You can thunk it. So now that is the first thing we are going to be using, and you can see that at some point we are actually getting some details from the database. We are getting some information from data. And that too, we are going to be using Excel. Yeah, so we are getting some details from the database, we are interacting with the database and we are saving information in the database and getting it back. And with that, we are going to be using Firebase. Firebase is just like a database that Google is giving you for free. Yeah, they try it for free. And also for some of it, in case depending on the idea you're working with or you're working on, you are going to be also be seeing how to work with data from Excel. So these are the three tools we are going to be using to conceptualize this big idea that we have, which is all in one store. So let us go ahead now. So let me just give a brief introduction to Thunkable. And now, but don't forget, we are going to be learning by doing, and at every point in time I am going to be explaining what I am doing. And now that you're on Thunkable.com, what I just want you to do at this point is I want you to create an account. If you don't have one, click on sign up. Sign up, it asks some basic information, your email, your password, and just like the usual thing when you're visiting a website or you're using an application for the first time. And after you have been able to sign up, you then go ahead to use the details that you have created to sign in or to log in. So but I already have an account, so I'll be going ahead to just sign in. And of course you might not have any of these projects, but for now I am not going to be looking at all these projects. So what we are going to be doing is we are going to be clicking on this create new project. You might not see it like this, but just find a way of getting this button called create new project, or you might call it get started. So just find a way of clicking on the create new project, and it will ask you for your project name. Don't forget, your project is just the application you want to build. And just like if a coder or a programmer want to build an application, It starts, okay, I want to build this application and the name I'm going to be giving to this is this, and the name I'm going to be giving to that is that. So you the same, you also want to embark on a journey of creating an application, of building a solution. So of course you need to give it, so you can either call it an application, you can call it a project, you can call it a solution. But for now, then the theme that the Thunkable would like to call it, or call our application, our solution, or our idea, is actually project. So I go ahead to name the project, and the name I'm going to be giving to the project is, let's see, all in one store. All in one, all in one store. So that's the name. Of course, I think it will take an underscore. So let's just call it. Of course, we are still going to be building the same thing. Or should we still call it UJ Logistics? Let's just call it UJ Logistics so that we'll just be replicating exactly what we have before. But the idea of what we are building is we are building all in one store, but that all in one store looks very generic. So in that we are trying to narrow down the name, or this the theme or the tag that we're giving to our project. So now we have given the project a name, and let us go ahead to give it a category. Of course, you can see different categories that you can use to categorize your application. Of course, you also have, you can select more than one. If it's books, business, developer tool, education, entertainment, food and drinks, what anything you feel like, okay, my project or my application belong to any of these, you can just, of course, shopping, think that is one category that my application belongs to. And I also say I'm also testing, since I'm seeing the workaround of Thunkable. And after I've been able to choose category for my application, and choose as many as is depending on you. There's no crime in that. So I'll go ahead to, of course, make sure that this public is on, and the public is on, and also the drag and drop builder is also ticked. Make sure that this is not ticked, this is not on tick. Make sure that it is ticked, and this is all you need for this. Please, I go ahead and click on create project. Take some time, and after some few seconds you have your project created, and boom, we have our application in here. You can see the interface. Now the basic introduction of what I am going to be showing you is what we can call our components. So I will call this, box, I'll call this box introduction to Thunkable. So that at every point in time you will know what I am doing, and I'm going to be introducing you to what we can call, we are going to be seeing design, we are going to be seeing block, and we are going to be seeing components. So these are the three words that you should familiarize yourself with anytime you are actually talking about Thunkable. The first one is design, the second one is block, and the third one is components. Everything we're going to be building all depend on that, all dependent. Of course, I'm going to be introducing you to more and more as time goes on, but for now let us just look at introducing ourselves to Thunkable using those three keywords: design, blocks, and components. The first one is design. Design is like the front end of your application, which is what you can see. You can see that the active tab now is design. You can see that we also have another tab called blocks, but the tab that is currently active now is design, meaning that your interface, which is where you get your button, your label. Anytime you hear label is just like a text. The rich text, the image, the text inputs, the groups. If you want to group some of these components together, and data input, and it goes on and on and on and on, depending on what you want to build. So this is the design, which is the interface, and for every, so the design let me jump from design to components. The design is like the front end of the application, what the user can see, not the, in an application we have the design or the interface or what the user can see, and we also have the logic that is powering it. We have a logic that is powering it, but now where we are currently is what the user can see. Like, okay, if I want the user to see a button, I'll just click on this button and I'll put it on my page. So you can see the design is the interface, what the user can see, and you can see that you have a screen. The screen is just like your page. The screen is like your page, or the particular page that the user. Okay, we can have the home page. If I create another, we can if I create another one, I can say this is maybe the registration page. If I create another one, I can say maybe this is the dashboard. If I create another one, I can say maybe this is the product details page, and so on and so forth. So you can see, as I'm creating, to create your screen, you have to be adding plus plus plus, and it will be creating. And if I come to this component tree, component is just the tools, or the, I can call it tools, yeah, or the element that is actually right, the element that make up your design. So just like a tree now, just like we are building a tree, the parent is the parent is the design, and the design now have different elements or different child elements under it, and all these child elements are called components. So you can see under this component tree we have the screen, and under the screen we can also have some other sub elements. So the screen is like the page, and on a page you can have button, you can have text, you can have input feed, and so on and so forth. So this is where you can work with your components. Let's say you want to rename it, you can press this edit button and maybe change this to screen edit, and press enter, and you have it. But you can also delete it using this icon of delete. So you actually want to delete, I'll say I want to delete. Yes, you delete, and you also delete. At least you should have minimum of one. I also want to delete this. So that is that about that. So now you can see your version history. If you want to preview, you want to see how this will work, you click on the web preview, or you click on P, and it will see, you will see how your application actually works. You'll be able to test it, click on the buttons and see how your application will work. And you can also close the preview by pressing that web preview again, and you can test your device. You can test your application on your device, meaning that you can install Thunkable application and you can use this to test your application, how it work actually work on your mobile phone before you finally publish and download it. You can also share it with your friends and that are also familiar with Thunkable, and see they can delete the project, you can duplicate the project, and you can also definitely see your accounts and settings like that, but we are not going to be looking at that. And now you have several components. The components, like I said, are the element that make up your page. When you're using an application, you see that most of the time you relate to some things, the buttons, the text, the input feed, but most of the time you're not paying attention to them. But for now, that is what we call the component. So we can see that you have several components that Thunkable is giving you. The button, to use any of these components on your screen or on your page, what you just need to do is click on them, hold it down and drag it to the page. So you will definitely have it on the page. So you can then, when you click on it, you see that the details, like when I make this screen to be active, for it, if I click on the screen, you can see that the details of the screen appear on the side. I can decide to rename it by double clicking it. You can call it screen edit and press enter. I can edit the details, make it scrollable, change the background, change the orientation, change the visibility, and the like. So let's say, okay, I want to update, I want to edit the details of my button. I can just click on this button or the component. So call this button, call this component, you are still right. So I can click on this particular component I'm working with, which is the button, and I also see the details. So anytime you want to manipulate or edit or update or change the details of a particular component, make sure that component is active by you clicking on it. So if I click on this button now, I can see that, okay, the name of the button I'll change it to maybe button edit. I don't know why this keep coming to mind. So I press enter. I can change the text that appear. Maybe this is my sign or button. I can change it. I can change the font size. I can change so many things. We're going to be seeing all this in action. But just that if you want to edit a particular component, make sure that component is actually active. And from there, it depends on any component you want to work on. Let's say you want to work with text, you want to write something like hello world, for example. You drag your text and you can also move. Anyway, you can see the drag and drop interface. So you can the label allow you to work with text, so don't forget my label is active. I can rename it and say label heading, the component name and what it is doing. That's the naming convention I really love. The label, the component name and what it is doing. So label heading. So what did I want to call it? Let's say I want to call it hello world. Hello world. This is just an introduction to Thunkable and the interface. So you can see once this is active, this component I can edit it. I can change the font, I can change the color, I can make it bold, I can change the orientation, and so on and so forth. But make sure that anytime you are dragging a component to a page, the first thing you should do is to rename it. So because let's say for example you have several labels. For example, you have this label 1, it's called label 1, call this one label 2. By the time you go to the blocks, which is where you edit, where you work on the logic or the functionality, you might not know which one is actually what. So let's say you have renamed this. By the time you get to the block, this block is where you work with your this is where you work on the logic. Okay, when I click on this button, I want this to happen. When I click on that button, I want that to happen. So that is where you do that. So you can see I see label 2. I see all the elements or all the components on my screen or on my design. So I can see that I can actually relate with this. Okay, this is the label heading, this is the heading label. I can relate with this is button edit. But what am I doing with label 1? What am I doing with label 2? So you see the importance of renaming your component now. So I will delete that. So if you want to work with text, use label. If you want to work with button, you can see how to do that. So to delete it, I'll click on it and I'll repeat what I've done the other time. Make it active and come and click on this delete icon. And now, so you also have the rich text. So you also have your image. You can drag and drop your image. If you want to work with image, the same thing, rename and pick the picture, edit the details if it is active. So you also have your group. Let's say you want to group some elements together. Like, okay, I want to group this and this and this together. So you use your group, you use group to group. So this is a group now. So the elements that I want to group together, I'll just bring them. Let's say I want to group this label together with this. You can see that this label is under this group. So like, let's say just a way of you grouping some things together. Let's say together with this button, I want to group it. So you can see that the button is also under the group. So but I will just delete it. So the group is just to attach some element together. You also have the input feed, text input, which is, let's say you want to take some entries from the user, then you use the text input. That is another component. So this allows the user to text to write something. So if I preview it now, you will actually see that I am able to type. So that is how to get input from the user. And also working with data, the different types of inputs that we have working with media, you are going to be seeing all this in practical action. But get to know that your design is your user interface, your component is the element that make up the design or that make up the user interface, and you also have the blocks, which is where you work with your logic. Like, okay, when for example, when I click this button, I want this. So you can see that when I click this button, it gives me different things or different attribute that I can work with using this button. So let's say you can see when button edit is click, then I want to do something. You can see everything is a concept of programming, but you are not actually programming. You are using a drag and drop interface, and you can build your idea using this, and you're going to be seeing how you're going to be doing this particular application that I demonstrated to you earlier. So you can see when the button edit is click, I want this to happen. Let's say I want to change this to change sets heading text to button was clicked. So that means that when I click this button, it will change the label heading to button was. It will set that label heading to button was clicked. So let's see that in action. You can see design is your user interface, while backend is what happened underneath, like the logic that is powering your application. So that it's not just about design, just not about the color, but when I click, I want something to happen. When I log in, I want something to happen. So where you are working on those things that are happening, you are doing it inside the block tab of your page. So if you preview this now, I want to just demonstrate when the sign up button, you can see button was clicked. So triggering action, working with the logic, working with how the user interacts with the application underneath is actually done with the block. And with that, I'm very sure that you now have a brief introduction to the interface of Thunkable, and I'm very sure that you are ready to start building. Of course, you will still be seeing these data, assets, and settings along the line application, but I think the basic thing you need to know or this to see about Thunkable, I have been able to show you without brief introduction to Thunkable. Now the next thing will now be to go back to our drawing board and start building out our idea. And we're going to be starting with the authentication, after which we go to the list of products, and we are going to go into the details and products. Please order, but we are just going to be taking it one step at a time. We're going to be taking it one step at a time. There's no need to. You see how easy it actually is to build an idea. So we're going to start with the authentication, which implies creating the user, signing them in, and also also navigating them to the page where they can see all the products.